Good morning. We are into the first week of November, and I'm not sure where the year 2025 is evaporating so quickly, but it seems to be disappearing rather fast. So we are now into November. We get Halloween behind us, Thanksgiving in front of us, and Christmas after with the new year of 2026. But as the year has continued to go by this year, I just continue to get excited about the things that we're discovering about our mental health, cognitive fitness, if you wanted to. And here I am looking at an issue of New Scientist, and it's Decoding Dementia. Decoding Dementia, the New Scientist magazine October issue. And I love what it talked about, building resilience and recognizing that we have to deal with the hand we're dealt with. As we know, this is what we've been dealt with our birth and our genes and things. But what can we do that has lifestyle interventions? What are some things that we can personally take ownership of that if we do have a concern about mental health, there are actions that we can take to build some resilience, that there are some things we can do to either delay or reduce some of its impacts. And we keep talking about those. I keep reading about this. It's like one of the hottest topics. I know I talked in the last couple of YouTubes or videos I did were all about the 100, how to live to be 100. And here I'm now reading an article about how do we decode dementia and what are some of the things that we can do about it. And the likelihood is that you can delay by practicing some different things. So let me just read it. Practice means that some people will die or something else before they get symptoms. So here it was good. What they're saying in this article is there are things you can do to minimize the mental aspects of dementia and being engaged in activities, and you may die of something else before you have the full-blown impacts of Alzheimer's disease. It sounds like there are things as it goes on that you're doing more to prevent. And I'm not sure if there's a prevention in the sense of the word I can totally prevent it from happening, as opposed to I can build resilience and I can kind of push it off. I can push off the physical changes and the clinical changes that will take place in my mind if I can get active in these things. There's clear evidence. This is what I loved about this article. Daniel Cousins, he's a journalist. He comes back and says, the message is to go out and understand what your family history is and some of your genetic predispositions are, but your lifestyle changes can in fact make a difference and can kind of push some of this off and can some delay us. What are those lifestyle factors? So now this is the holy grail. So what are some lifestyle factors that researchers are coming back and finding over and over again that can be the pillars, it can be the key factors of what you can do in your life? And one that we talk about all the time is nutrition. Right? And now this one drives me crazy because some recommend the Mediterranean diet, which has got vegetables and fruits and nuts, whole grains, and low red meat. Sometimes I read one that makes some other recommendations. But I think what's important is that we are all individuals and what we eat has an impact. What we put into our bodies, what the air is that we breathe through, the oxygen levels that we push up into our brain are all impacting our body and then impact our mental functions and things of that sort. So nutrition is clearly one. And I'm reluctant to share with anyone any of the nutritional tips because I have found in the last several years that the nutritional tips and suggestions do sway a little bit in terms of recommendations. And so I'm not sure that the science world, for my benefit, has really nailed down the nutritional impacts other than we don't want to overdo the fats because of the impact that it has on our hearts and the cholesterol levels we have. So the cardio aspects of this to me are what I tend to follow a little bit more. And I'm not clear that the nutritional impacts to our mental health are as consistently defined as I would recommend. But there are some that are being defined and consistent, and they make a whole lot of sense. And one you've heard is being physically active, meaning are you engaged in gardening? Are you engaged in walking? Are you engaged in working? I mean, I was watching somebody stock groceries yesterday in Walmart's, and they were lifting these wine cases. This is a thin-looking female who was picking these wine cases up and stacking them, and then they had to go stack higher, and I said, stack higher. We watched her for about 5 minutes, and I looked over and I said, well, you have just gotten your some of your physical activities today. And she said, God, this is my whole shift. And I said, well, you've done your work for the week. Well, now, would you think of what she's doing as being exercise? Well, she's lifting these 6-bottle cases of wine and just taking them off the cart. First she had to stock her cart, and then she comes to the aisle, has to unload the cart, and she's unloading it to about 6 foot high. So as she has to lift that last cart, she's getting a lot of good exercise just in her work. I look at store clerks, the store stockers, shelf stockers that come in and they do their day's work, and I'm looking at different products that they're storing in cans and anything that's got any weight to it. But these people working 4 or 5 days a week, they're getting exercise. Now, I don't know how much of their aerobic exercise they're getting, so I may suggest that, and maybe they're walking about the store all day long, and they're going from the stock room to the front, depends on the size of the store. So they may well also be getting that, and then as they're moving up and down and stretching out this way, they're getting their flexibility. So I look at physical movement as being in 3 flavors. What are you doing for your breathing? What are you doing for your muscles? And what are you doing for your flexibility? So I think they're doing well. And there's just a Walmart stocker that's getting a lot of exercise as I watched her for the minutes and listened and talked to her for a bit. What are we doing for mental exercises? This is the one where I find people are lacking most, and they don't realize that the different mental stimuli that they put in their life, solving problems. Now, again, we say solving problems, we don't like to think of solving problems. I always think of Norman Vincent Peale talking about when you stop solving problems, you're probably in a grave somewhere. So what are some of the challenges, problems, things that are in front of you? Or we have mental exercises we do. How do you remember people's names and faces? How do you remember a list of groceries without looking at your grocery list? What are things that we can do? Oh, how do we remember phone numbers? My goodness, cell phones are just, I think they're dumbing us down a little bit. So can you remember phone numbers or addresses of people, directions of people, and where to go to their homes without looking at your MapQuest or something? So what are we doing for mental exercises that really can make a difference in the way we strengthen our brains? It's like a muscle. They're not muscles, but they're like, and they can be strengthened. Our spines inside of our mental capacities, our neurons, can work. We can do some things, and there's some work we're doing with people that kind of show the changes that they're able to make. And then, of course, our social interactions. What are we doing for social activities that keep us from feeling isolated or alone, which then kind of, we're isolated and alone, we just kind of, we lie down and just watch the clock go by and maybe watch a TV program. But what are we doing to get up and go out into some world? And I say, socializing to me is even sitting at a window and watching people go by, watching people dog walk. And during the better weather days here, I'll sit on a porch and just watch people go by and say hello, and just watch who's walking by with their kids and their new babies, and just getting outside into the air sometimes is a benefit. And one that I keep seeing more and more of, I'm not close to being anything knowledgeable on this, is blood pressure. And how are you maintaining a good blood pressure and cholesterol levels? Now, you understand the cholesterol levels because those are the things clogging up your whole oxygen system in your heart, your breathing. But this notion of your blood pressure, reducing your hypertension and your stress levels clearly have an impact of lifestyle things that you can do that have a long-term benefit on our mental fitness. And so stay with us, and let's figure out how we can start doing some of these things. I'm doing this all the time, and I'm trying to coach people through it all the time because I want to make a difference in people's lives. And that's why you keep seeing me on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays doing Live with Tony. If I can touch one person on each of my Facebook, YouTube broadcast, then boy, it's worth it to be able to make that difference in people's lives. We're off and good on another Monday, and unfortunately, the New York Football Giants are just not doing well this year, which makes Sundays a little bit longer, but Mondays a little bit brighter.